All right, so I'm going to get started. To introduce myself, my name is Alexis Clemens. I'm the marketing lead here at UpstreamTech, and I'm thrilled to be here with my teammate Miles from our Lens customer success team and Sahana Murthy from Regrid, one of our partners. So super excited to have her join us today and talk a little bit about this technology. So we'll save some time at the end of our conversation for you to ask questions to our presenters. So if you think of anything during the presentation, any questions you'd like to ask, please feel free to drop them in the Zoom Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, and we'll save some time to answer all of those at the end. All right, so by way of introduction, I'd like to introduce who we are for those folks who may be new. Here at Upstream, we are a mission-driven tech company that's working to bring remote sensing and machine learning tools to folks working in all corners of the conservation world. We work to make these technologies accessible and easy to use to help support the great work that all of you are doing. So today we'll be talking about our tool Lens, and our goal with Lens has been to help address the need to better access the best available remote sensing tools, which historically have been out of reach for a lot of us who work in conservation. So Lens is an easy to use web-based application that helps people get remote imagery, conduct efficient monitoring, and generate reports. And to give you a small sense of who is using Lens, we have over 150 organizations who use Lens on a consistent basis, and we are monitoring over 26 million acres of easements and preserves. So we work with organizations of all sizes around the country, as well as some international organizations. And so today we're going to be diving into one particular Lens feature called Parcel Owner Alerts. And to give you a quick overview of what we've got lined up for our conversation today, we're going to go over the new feature, what it does. We'll demo it in Lens and show you what the alerts look like. And then we'll have Sahana discuss Regrid's parcel data in more detail. And then we'll end with that Q&A. So with that, I will hand it over to my colleague, Miles.
Thanks, Alexis. So before I dive into introducing Parcel Owner Alerts, I just want to show you a bit more background on Lens and some of the use cases here. So Lens is a tool that we created when we saw the value that remote sensing poses for conservation and stewarding organizations. And so by using Lens, our customers have access to up-to-date, recent, high-quality imagery at affordable rates. And so this imagery is orderable right through Lens and allows these organizations to complement their field monitoring programs with remote sensing. And so this allows these orgs to identify areas on the ground where their field visits are most needed, as well as gain some insights as to conditions on the ground. And so using this data in conjunction with our analysis tools and Lens, organizations are able to see areas of change such as forestry activity, road creation, and even restoration progress on restoration projects. And so many of our customers are doing these projects on areas that they themselves do not own. And so these are partnerships with private landowners, whether that's from land trusts such as Colorado Open Lands, my former employer, or Forest Legacy Program. Many of these organizations are working with private landowners and relying on conservation easements or other mechanisms to do stewardship and conservation activities. And so all these different organizations have this shared common need of understanding who owns the properties that they're working on. And so in my former job, I spent a lot of time looking at county assessor sites to ensure that conservation easements were being managed by the correct people and that the landowners were following the easement language in terms of ownership structure. And so this was often done manually by checking out county assessor websites. And so right now, I just pulled up Park County Assessor, which is actually looks like a pretty decent assessor site here. So I can search by the owner name, location address, parcel number, but doing this for hundreds of conservation easements really adds up quite a bit of time. And many of these easements in rural areas might not even have location addresses, and they might have dozens of parcel numbers for each one of these properties. And so it can be really difficult and time consuming to search manually for ownership information for each of these properties that we're stewarding in Lens. Or you might run into an assessor site like you see here in Bent County, which this is the extent of the publicly available information, and you can't even do a property search within their county assessor site. And so this was really the impetus for our relationship to begin with Regrid and actually pull in a layer of assessor data and ownership information right into Lens. And so when I go into Lens here, I'm going to hop right into Las Almas, Colorado, which is in Bent County. And in Lens, using this Regrid data, I can see all this great ownership information right there. So at a glance, I can see how much more intuitive this is than trying to go through the rabbit hole of accessing that through the county assessor site. And so this was the foundation that we were building off of when we created our Parcel Owner Alerts. And so this is where these alerts are going to live, right in the side pane of Lens. And this is really continuing the theme in Lens that we're bringing value to our customers by providing a great change detection platform. And so just as looking at two images side by side in Lens is a lot more valuable than looking at one, this allows our customers to see changes over time in terms of ownership trends, and then also visualize on the map, which parcel has actually changed hands and provide a bit more context there. So maybe this particular parcel changed hands because it was most recently added to the easement, or maybe it's contiguous to the brother's property that has wanted to be buying this property for quite a long time. And so there's always a bit more context that can be provided when you have this great visualization of this data, like we're able to do with Regrid. And so to hop back to our slides here, to recap, this parcel data is very important for a wide range of Lens users. And not only having it as this overlay, as you see here, but then automating that into our alerts feature. And then enrolling those properties into change detection for parcel ownership year round and visualizing how that parcel has actually changed hands. And so we're very happy and excited to bring these time savings to our customers for monitoring for ownership changes. And so just wanted to pass it over to Regrid now to talk into the data.
All right, thank you, Miles. So can we move on to the, yeah, thank you so much, Alexis. All right, so first of all, thank you for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here. And it's always, so fun to see live applications that use our product and our data that we work so tirelessly to try and perfect, every day, every month. So it's such a wonderful use case. And Miles, what you just talked about is essentially what we were solving for. Is parcel data is disparate data from different counties, close to 3,200 counties. And that's what we do. We collect this data and then we standardize it so the data can be used at scale instead of having to go through hundreds of different sources to find the information that one needs for their location intelligence projects. And that's essentially what we are here at Regrid. We are a leading provider of land parcels and location context information for any sort of spatial analysis. And we provide our data in multiple different formats, depending on the different use cases. And over the past few years, we've gone from strength to strength to kind of really improve the currency, completeness, and coverage so that we can have the highest coverage in terms of, 99% of United States being covered with our parcel data and standardized and can be used at scale. So if somebody wants to use it anywhere in the nation, they can, anywhere in the state, they can. And if they are hyper-local, they can get, use the data by the county. To the next slide, please. Thank you so much. So this is essentially a depiction of the data that we have, almost close to 3,200. That's kind of the, the full limit of the counties that we have here in the US. We're trying to get the last few that are left, snag them and standardize them as well so that the whole map can be green. In addition to that, we provide normalized land use code. So that's the location context piece, right? So there is parcel data, the shapes, the spatial aspect of the data, but then we also have associated, tax assessment information with it. And on top of it, we've worked extra hard to build, additional location context. So standardized, normalized land use codes anywhere in the country. We matched, all known addresses in the US to our parcels, so you can get secondary addresses. We matched building footprints all over the United States with the parcels, so you can get parcels and building footprints. So essentially, everything about a property, what's on it, what are the addresses on it, what the property or the land can be used for, all of that is covered here in the Regrid database. to the next one. So yeah, essentially, our data is provided, and we provide that in bulk delivered files format, and we provide it in a streaming solution with our API. It's essentially what you're using in your Lens platform is our data kind of streamed directly into your Lens platform, so it can power them with our parcels. And we also provide our data in a spatial format using our property app. So you can use our web app or our mobile app and be on the go and look up properties anywhere in the country, essentially for any use case, right? Like the land trust, the land conservancy, but also small to medium or to large companies that require it for site selection, renewable projects. A lot of the location intelligence projects sort of starts fundamentally with parcels and parcel information, and you could use it as bulk files if you're doing data modeling, machine learning. You could use it, you can plug it straight into your application, like with Lens using our API and tile server. If you work directly out of an Esri stack, then you can use our feature service. Or if you would like to just look up and work spatially in a mapping platform, then we have the solution for that as well. I want to just quickly note that the use case that you talked about, which is being able to get alerted when something changes within a property or when land parcels change, any element of their information, is such a pivotal use case across the board. Whether you're a B2B, you're a land trust, you're a conservancy, you are a B2C, a homeowner who's had an eye on a particular property and you would like to know when it's changing hands or when it's available. It's such a global use case. So it was actually very coincidental when we talked about this webinar, and we were like, we have the same thing coming up with our mobile app where we will be alerting our customers when properties change, whether it's when we update those counties, those cities, those places, or every time an owner changes. Perhaps there's multitude of these use cases we can build over time, but I just wanted to plug in that we are building the same thing on our mobile app and will be out shortly, and that this is such a valuable use case that the parcel data answers. And yeah, I think that's a little bit about how we go about bringing this data to our customers, including yourself. And it's been a pleasure working with UpstreamTech.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sahana. So now we really want to save time here to answer any questions that folks have. We can jump back into Lens, we can show a little more, but we want to hear from you all about any questions that you may have regarding this new feature. So I'm going to take a minute and check out the Q&A. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in now, and we'll go through a couple of those.
So Matthew asked if this tool is available for all Lens users and account types. And Matthew, thanks for asking a question. And to answer it, this is available for our Plus and Enterprise account users. And so any customers with Plus or Enterprise plans have access to both our Parcel Alert setting or feature, as well as our vegetation drop alerts.
Awesome. Another question that I have popping up for you, Miles, can more than one teammate receive email alerts about parcel updates?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me just share my screen, and I'm going to show you where you can configure your settings for setting these alerts. So alerts are going to appear in the side pane right here, as well as on the property overview page. And you'll see those triggered right here in this alerts field. But in addition to this, you're also going to get any emails that you have configured from your settings page. And so when you click on your name in Lens, you'll see this drop down, and then you click on settings. And then from here, you can scroll down to notifications. And these notification settings can be configured on a portfolio basis. And so when you enroll properties in alerts, it's going to default to alerting you whenever there is a alert that's been triggered on a property within your portfolio. But you could also set that to only apply for properties that are assigned to you in Lens, or no properties at all. And so that's completely customizable. And these settings are completely on a user basis. And so this is not across your entire team. So multiple users can receive alerts for a property that's been flagged in Lens, as long as they've enrolled in the subsequent notifications.
Great. We have another question for you, Miles, from Amanda. Can you go into the map and show us what exact info will pop up for parcel info? For example, could we see addresses, names? What does that look like?
Absolutely. Let me share my screen again. So hopping back here, let's go back to that property that we were looking at earlier. This is Cascadian Farm. And so when we open up this alerts pane here, it's going to show any alerts that have been triggered for this particular property. And so this alert is going to show us the parcel ID number. It's going to show the previous owner that had this property, as well as the new owner's name, and then also the date on which that sale occurred. And so when you hover over this location button right here, it's going to flag the exact parcel that changed hands, as well as estimate the area there. And so that can be helpful for if you're looking at the legal description of a conservation easement, where it might spell out the acreages of each of the tax parcels that are encumbered by the easement. That's a great way to just kind of estimate or at a glance kind of see which parcel that might have been. And then from here, I might take this parcel ID number, go to the county assessor site, and if I'm able to search for it, I can search for it there and then get a bit more information, such as the sale price and a bit more information there. Once I'm in this view mode here, I can always turn on that parcel data layer. And then from here, I can see the owner address as well.
Or I was going to say you can go to regrid.com.
Yes.
I have a question. Is there a limit to how many properties you can get alerts on, or?
Not at all. And so you can always manually enroll your properties just by clicking this button here. But when we hop back out to this property list, we can select all of our properties even. And then from this alerts drop down here, enroll all of our properties in parcel owner or vegetation alerts all at once. And so we're really happy to see that our customers have already enrolled over 5,000 properties in Lens in these alerts. So we're really happy to see the enthusiasm about Regrid's data here.
This is a great tool. Amazing.
All right, we have a little bit more time for any other outstanding questions. I'll give us another minute to see if folks have any other thoughts or anything they'd like to ask. But before that, I'd like to say thank you for joining us. Thank you to Sahana and Regrid for agreeing to do this webinar with us. And if you have any questions that you don't think of right now and would like to reach out to us later, please reach out to us at lens@upstream.tech. We will be happy to set up some additional time with you to help make sure you have all of your questions answered. So looks like we do have a couple more, so let's get into it. So one question from Julie is, what is the timing of the alerts in the review?
Thanks, Julie. So these alerts are going to be refreshed quarterly. So at least once a quarter, our system will check our data against the data that's provided by Regrid. And so that is kind of the cadence at which Lens will be updating the data on our end.
Great. And then could we also get a reminder on how to tell what Lens license that we have?
Great question. So when you're in Lens, you're going to be able to see your name on the top right corner. And so when you click on your name, it's going to say your subscription level right there on the top of that drop-down bar.
All right. I think that may be it for questions this time. But as I said, please be in touch. We're happy to answer any other questions that you may have later on. So thank you all so much for joining us today, and we hope to speak to you soon. Thank you all.
Having me.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.